Well, hi folks. In the last video, I explained what a mixed number was, okay? And a mixed number looks like this one right here in the middle, the 2 and 3/5, or 2 and 3 over 5, however you like to say that. And today we're going to learn how to change this thing called a mixed number. And the reason why it's called a mixed number is it has a normal looking 2 here. This is just a normal 2. And then a little bit more than that 2 is 3/5, the 3 over 5. It means that this number is not quite 3. Okay? If it was 2 and 5 over 5, well, 5 divided by 5 is 1. The 5 over 5 is 1, so it's like saying 2 plus 1 is 3. So 2 and 3/5 is almost 3. It's 2 and a bit. It's 2 and almost 3. But anyway, let's just forget about that. Let's learn how to take this mixed number and turn it into an improper fraction. Okay, so step number 1, and you can pause or rewind as you need, okay? But I'll read it really quick. Multiply the denominator, this is the denominator, by the whole number right here. So you multiply the denominator times the whole number. You multiply them. Okay, that's step number 1. So 2 times 5, you get 10. And then it says to add the numerator. Well, this is the numerator. You're supposed to add the numerator. And if you do that, you get 13. Okay? Put your answer from part 1, take this answer, and put it on top. Put it in the numerator. What would go underneath, though? In the bottom, or the denominator, keep the denominator the same. Keep the denominator exactly what it was to begin with. Keep that 5 right there. Okay, so if you're changing a mixed number into an improper fraction, you would go, let's do it one more time really quick. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 3 is 13. And you leave the bottom the same. So all of that talking I did could be boiled down to this. 5 times 2, then add 3, 13, keep the bottom the same. 13 over 5. There. We have just changed a mixed number into an improper fraction. And an improper fraction is just a fraction where the top is bigger than the bottom. Okay? If you had to work backwards, if someone said take an improper fraction and change it back into a mixed number, I should mention how to do that. All you do is say, how many times could 5 go into 13? What's the most that 5 could go into 13 without going over? Well, 5 times 2 is 10. That's pretty close. If we said 5 times 3, that would be 15. That's too big. So what you do is you say, okay, 5 times 2, this has to stay the same, right? 5 times 2 is 10. How much more do we need to make the 13? How many more do we need to add to 10 to get to 13? 3. And then we're back to the mixed number. Okay? So that's how you go. That's how you go from a mixed number to an improper fraction, and then from an improper fraction back into a mixed number again. Let's practice this on the next page. In case you're a little confused, it's always good to do a few examples. So let's practice some right now. To multiply this, you go 2 times 6 plus 1. And if you want, you can hit pause, try to get the answer yourself, and see if I get the same answer as you. Okay, so 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1 will give us 13. That would be over 6. We are done. How would you go backwards? Well, 6 times what would get us really close to 13? 2. What is 6 times 2? 12. 12 plus what would give us 13? 1. So now we're back to the original question again. Let's go down to this one. See if you can do it before me. 3 times 4 is 12. What's 12 plus 2? 14. Okay? And if you had to work backwards, you could say 4 times 4 is 16. So 4 times 3 is 12. And 12 plus 2 would give us 3 2/4. But I just want to show you something else. What happens if you do something called reducing? Okay, or simplifying. Some teachers use the word simplifying or reducing. 14 over 4. Okay, now with fractions, if you do something to the top, you can do the same thing to the bottom. As long as it works, you can do that. So, for example, I could take the top here and divide by 2 or cut it in half, and if I do the same thing to the bottom, I'm going to get, I'll change the color here, 14 divided by 2 is 7, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. Believe it or not, 7 over 2 is really the same fraction as 14 over 4. Okay, and by the way, we can't go any lower with these. We can't cut these each in half or do any other dividing to make this smaller and this smaller. This is as small as it's going to get. But let's see, what happens if we wanted to change this back into a mixed number to get 3 and 2/4? Would it work? Well, let's try something here. 2 would go into 7 how many times? 2 times 3 is 6. And 6 plus 1 is 7, so it's 3.5. Is 3.5 the same thing as 3 and 2/4? It actually is, because you could divide the top and the bottom by 2. You could take the top and the bottom of this fraction and divide it by 2, cut it in half. You would end up getting 3 and 1/2, which is the same thing as what we got over here. So even when you reduce the fraction, and it's improper, you're still going to come up with the same answer. All right. I also have videos on how to reduce fractions in case that part was confusing for you. The primary goal of this lesson was to figure out how to change a mixed number into an improper fraction, and that's good enough for now. Okay? And that seems to be the end of this video. Have a great day.